What's going on, guys? So today we have a really fun video, and we've had our Cybertruck for a few months now. And one of the things that is cool is it actually has a front sprayer. So when it gets dirty, it actually sprays into it so that it cleans it and you can see better. Because the back is actually blocked and most of the time I have my cover closed, that means I can't really use my rear window at all. So that being said, I rely on the rear view camera quite a bit. And I do wish that they had a sprayer in the back. Maybe they're working on it, maybe they're not. But if you don't have it, when you're watching this video, this is what this video is going to be about. So let's get right into it. So we're going to go ahead and talk about what you need. And this is a loose ingredient list of what you need. But you do need a ratchet. I recommend an electric one. I like this one. You do need an extension like this and a 10 millimeter, okay? And we are going to be using the ClearVu kit, and they have figured out this do-yourself and pro kit install, which includes the hose, the nozzles, the valves, the check valve, really everything you need to make this install a lot easier. I do like using a smaller ratchet like this. This is for the tail light, and you do need some torx bits, so it's going to be T30. You also need a wire cutter for some cases. So in mine, there was already a stopper here, so I might not even need it. But for some, I saw that it's missing, so you might need to cut it. Distribution. You also need a wire feeder, this is just metal. I like using this one. You need two kinds of bits. This is a cobalt, and this is really important. So you do have to drill at this moment. You want a really, really sharp one. I recommend just buying a new one. So this is 5/16. In this case, you could use a step drill, by the way, like if you don't want to use these. But I have a pilot drill. This is also cobalt, which is going to make it a lot easier. While you're doing that, you could just lubricate it with some WD-40. And you also want some electric tape so that you could wire feed the actual hose. So for this video, we are going to show you, this is going to be a very hands-on video. But first, we're going to remove what we need to remove. So we're going to start from the front, go to the back, and then after that, we're going to try to break it down and make sure we get the connection all the way through, test it, and then put it all back together. Let's start right away with the disassembly. So to remove the frunk, what I'd like to do actually is, I just go ahead and remove this because this kind of gets in the way. This is the windshield wiper fluid actually. I forgot to also mention you do need a trim tool remover. So you're just going to go ahead and remove these over here. You want to get rid of these, and there's two. All you do is you pull straight back and it comes out. So you want to do the same for the other side. And then there's going to be 4 screws over here. Okay, so once those 4 are out, there's actually 2 inside these trim. So to do that, you want to hold this bottom part and just pull straight up. And then you can see that it just disconnects. And the same thing over here. There's going to be a screw right here and right over there. I'm going to go ahead and remove that screw right here. Pull straight up. Be careful right here. So stop right there. Don't pull it all the way. You actually don't have to remove this panel. There is a connector right here. It's not a push pin or anything like so. It's literally just going to be a pull. So just going to pull straight back, get a better angle. You just got to pull hard. And I'm going to go ahead and place this. But what we're actually going to be working off of is right here. This is the pump right here. It feeds all into this, and then it goes into the sprayer. So this is what the sprayer is right over here. So that's what we're going to be dealing with. So now that we have the front done, we're going to start with the fender flares over here. I like starting in the front. You just pull straight back. So you hold it, you get a good, nice, wide stance. There you go. There you go. So when you get to this part, be careful because there is an actual connection to the actual camera. And in this case, so I can show you right over here, there's a clip right here. Once you push it, there you go. So I'm going to just show you how to remove these pins. So what I would recommend is there's a bunch of clips right here. You really need to remove it up to about here. for this area. You don't need to remove all the rest of the stuff. So we're going to show you just use a trim tool like this, just loosen it, and that's all you need to do to remove. And now you can easily kind of put your hand and it's going to go here and into the front. So we got this done. We're going to do the rockers last. All right, so now we have this trim. We need to remove it so that we can see the line going through. Again, it's going to go back here, all the way through here, underneath, and then so on. So I'm going to do the same thing I did. I just like starting here. There we go. There we go. There is no cable, so you can pull. And then you want to remove all the clips like you did earlier on that side. But this, you're going to go all the way around. So I recommend removing all this clip so you could kind of move your hand all the way around, all the way to the bottom right here. You see that? So now we have really good access into all this area. So one thing that ClearVu provides is they're going to be providing this template right here. And I'm just going to tape it. And it's going to fit perfectly, okay? So just so that I can hold it, I'm just going to go ahead, and once I have it aligned, it's perfectly right to that point. And I can go ahead and tape it. You have a drill point right here. So that's where you're actually going to drill. It actually is a cutout, just so you guys know. And then you can see I've aligned it right here. And obviously the reference is you want to make sure that you're at the center. I'm not going to really drill all the way through yet. I'm just going to start a pilot hole. Oh, one thing I wanted to disclose is we actually forgot to remove the paint protection film that's underneath it. The next part is it has to route underneath here and then go behind this tail light bar. So we have to remove this thing. It can be a little difficult, but the first step is going to be removing this top trim. And there's a trick to this. So you want to go ahead and open this up. All right, so the trick here is just going underneath here and just running this trim tool. And you hear that it actually loosened it up. I'm just going to go all the way around. Oops. There you go. And once you loosen it up, it gets easier to remove. There you go. You're going to reveal a lot of the screws. And this actually doesn't hold any of the light. It actually holds this cover right here. We're going to go ahead and remove 4 right here. You actually have 8 mil right here. Remove this. Other side. Great, so I got that down. And this is also T30. Just hand loosen first. I don't want to strip this. So I like using a handle, manual tool like this with a short handle. That allows me to just loosen it up. And that's all I'm doing. Be careful. So what I have behind me is actually a bumper holder. So what I'd like to do is just put it down right here. It'll also hold the light when I actually drop it, okay? So let's go ahead and remove this. Okay, there you go. And then just put it away. All right, so now that you've removed most of it, look how loose this becomes. Yes, you can remove the whole thing, but I don't think it's necessary to remove the whole thing, so I'm gonna save you that step. So to remove the actual light, there's about 6 screws, I believe. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe more than 6. So you just kind of use a ratchet like this, and you should be able to just loosen this up. Oops. So one tip too, once you get to this step, is to put something like a battery something to just hold it up, right? You're just propping it up. Oh, one other tip is if you don't have a holder like this right now, like this is actually holding the light. As I loosen this up, I can see it kind of fall down. But what I would actually recommend is do everything in the middle and then do the ends last. But since I have this holder, I don't really care. Once those are out, be very, very careful. It will drop. So in my case, I already have this thing holding it, so it's not going to drop right away, but I can already see it. There's a clip right here. Boom. That's the clip right there. This one right here. Once you heard that sound? Once you hear that sound, that means you can already see it coming out right here. So there you go. There you go. This is where you want to unplug it once you have it positioned like this. And then there is actually a clip, and once you push it, it's very, very hard to access. There you go. Once you remove it, you can see right here, it goes into this little divot, but it's hot, but it's just this push clip. One thing I've noticed with any clips is that you never force it, okay? And you never pull from the wire, but you'll kind of hear a little click when you click it just right. Once that's disconnected, you should be able to remove all this so that it's kind of out of the way. So in order to do that, we can go ahead, there's a clip right here. We can go ahead and dislodge. There we go. And then there's another teeth right here. Just loosen that up. Split it. There you go. It's just a teeth. And then this clip is pretty simple as well. You just pull back. Once you do that, it should just pop out like so. You want to put this in a very safe place. You can see that you reveal this tunnel of, now you can put some cable in there, okay? One thing I want to mention is if you do want to close this, you do need to put the latch back together. I tightened it not super hard because I need to remove it again. But I did tighten it just a little bit. So once this is closed, that is the best for starting this pilot hole. And I can see I started right here. And this steel, it is very, very hard. So what I'm going to do is use some WD-40 to lubricate it. Okay, so you can see I have started this hole and now I have a divot, okay? It is incredibly hard, so this is where I would go insanely slow. The slower the better. The steel gets actually stronger as heat is introduced. So you're gonna be making sure you're oiling it. Okay, once I have a pilot hole and it was deep enough for this divot right here, I got another 5/16, and that's what we need it to be. And that way, if you don't have the pilot hole, what will happen is it will travel. So you want to make sure. I think one thing we're going to try is just remove this film real quick. It'll be easier for me to see, you know. So now that I've removed the film, and I can see this divot. It's a very, very clear divot. So it is actually making progress, even though it doesn't seem like it. WD-40. Okay, so I'm making a lot more progress. It's getting deeper and deeper. It is welded in another plate of steel. So be very careful, slower the better, and as you kind of get it slowly indentation into it, that's when you can start putting a little bit more force. Force is going to be more important than actual speed of the RPM, so just keep that in mind. So once we're the first layer, you can actually see the other side. I'm going to go ahead and put some more WD-40 and drill through. You can see that it's starting to, you can see the metal shavings over here. So go ahead and continue to lubricate it when you do this part. And I just have a microfiber and I try to get the shavings off a little bit so that I can see. I have a hole all the way through now. I'm going to use a higher RPM. All right, so I finally have the hole. It went through, it's very clean. I do recommend using a brand new bit. You do not want to use like an older bit that you have. The nozzle looks like this, and it's going to just go through like so into the direction. There you go. So there you go. And then you're going to use this washer right here to go behind it. And obviously you can move it a little bit later on. We're all set up. Now we can start feeding the actual lines. We do have to remove this again. Since we opened it back up, I don't really need to remove that one, so you can actually leave that one if you wanted to. Again, I like using hand tools for this one. You could potentially strip it. All right, so the easiest way is to use something like this because this is very stiff. And it's actually gonna go under here. So you're just gonna feed it. And once you feed it, you'll find it right here, okay? So I got mine coming out of here. Where the air compressor little insert right here, that's what we're going for, okay? But we're just gonna go ahead and grab the end right here and just, I mean, you don't have to go nuts, but you definitely want to put enough electrical tape, but I don't think you need it crazy tight. And then you're going to go ahead and pull the wire, but you wanna just go ahead and feed it. You can go ahead and unravel electrical tape since we already made it past where we need it to. So you can free that up, and you're gonna go ahead and feed the line that you need. So I'm gonna go ahead and hold it out like this. So in this case, this is how the line goes. It's just going to go underneath right here and past here. This is where all the other cables are. I don't want to connect it yet, so I'm just going to leave it like this. I have about this much to the nozzle, or past the nozzle, because I want that extra because we need that valve stopper as well, so it doesn't have any leaks. So we got this lined up now, and then from here on out, it gets way easier. And we got the hard part done. And you're just going to follow this line behind it. And then into these area. And one tip that I would give is I would definitely use a few zip ties actually. So what I would recommend is there's going to be a little clip holder right here. So I just want to make sure that it doesn't fall or just kind of go in the wrong areas. So I'm just going to tie in that. And then in this case, I don't think there's really going to be an issue. But if you wanted to, there's another zip tie point right here. And then this is the point where it goes in right here. When you get to this point, I'm not going to lift the car up, but you should. The reason being is we have this floor and the tires actually squeeze it out, so it's going to kind of mess with the floor. So I'm going to prevent doing that. I have plenty of space and clearance right there, so we're good. But I would highly recommend, if you're in your garage, just lift it up to extract mode. It'll make it way easier to access it. So I'm going to go ahead and this is going to be 10 mil right here. So once you remove that first one, what you want to do is you want to actually go down here into this, and you can see that I can pull it from below right here. So I'm going to go ahead and pull all the excess line at this point all the way through, and making sure it's inside the wheel well, and then that's nice and tight. Boom. So now that we have all this excess right here, you're going to go ahead and loosen up every single one, and you want to be outside of the actual bolt. So I think as you get here, you can go inside the area, and once you're past that, I'm just going to go ahead and remove all the bolts. One right here. And the goal is to push it all the way inside. So when you can, you're going to go, there's actually a bolt right here, and there's a lot of space. So I would recommend going past that bolt if you can, and that will make it secure. So every section right here, you see how it's sticking out like that? You don't want that. You want to go past that bolt. And I got it past here already. Now the last one. So now I can move all that, and you can see, look at all that space right there. So you're going to get inside here. Again, same thing, past all this area. And then now we can actually pull it all the way in here. You're going to be using the wire feeder, and it's pretty easy to access right here. Clip it. So this is going to be pretty easy, just like so. And then from here on out, I can actually see what's going on here, and then look at that. I can just pull it all the way out. One thing that I want to explain here is if you look here, this is what you're trying to get to. In one of the other cars that I've seen, like some of them don't have this connector right here. And this is typically a stopper. So I have noticed that. So this makes it really nice because you don't have to make any cuts. But if you do need to cut it, all you just need to do is cut it and then make it into two pieces, just like this. This is about 2.5 inches from the sprayer right there. So now that we have this, we can go ahead and remove this stopper. There you go. And you can save this. You could actually use this in the future if you wanted to. And this is a T-valve, so it just goes in all the way through. And then the actual original one also just connects it just like it was previously. And then this is going to go into this. That's the new one. So now we have this cable right there that goes all the way into that, okay? So that's gonna be fine. So before we do any tests, everything's wired. So this is good. This is the pump right here. It's gonna be able to shoot into the back as well. So let's go ahead and connect the back. But really the best way is there's already a harness path, okay? Because the tailgate is powered, so there needs power. So there's actually a hole that goes through from where the tail light bar used to be. And then if you look all the way in here, I have this line going all the way into this back part. You want to feed it inside right here and not right here, because I tried at first to put it underneath here. But the problem with that is this is really tight. There's not really anywhere you can put a gap. And if you do that, you won't be able to screw this in. And that's obviously a problem. Not only that, you're gonna pinch it, and this is a water line. So you really don't want to pinch anything because that can cause issues as well. So you want to feed it all the way through. And you can go ahead and open this up. And that does give you a little bit more space. Feed that wire right here. It's all the way in. And I can see it right there. Okay, so then what I'm going to try to do is see if I could hook it. So it did work. I was able to hook this. And look at that. So again, you could remove it, but I still think this is better. And then once you get to that point, it's going to be going where the harness is. So it's not going to pinch anything. And once you get to that point, there is another hole right here. And then follow that harness again. In this case, I can just and then I could just pull it straight out. And but once you do that, what you'll notice is everything should fit a lot better, right? But you can see this is the same harness that goes on the light bar, so that's all good. But this is where the nozzle is, right here. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna have to put that T, or the stopper, so about like 2 inches up to there. I will make a cut. Okay, so it's a little nerve-wracking, but go ahead and make that cut. There's going to be an arrow that points to the flow of water. So since it's going that way, we're going to go ahead and make sure the arrow is pointing that way as well. And let's go ahead and push it all the way in. And this is important, so it prevents leaks, and it's all nice and safe. And then once you get to this point, you don't need a whole lot. So I'm just going to measure it real quick. So about this much, and I have some extra right here. So let's go ahead and put it into the stopper. Okay, so again, the arrow is going to point to the direction of the water. And then this is the final step, guys. We're almost there. And I know it's hard to see, but it's going to go all the way into the nozzle. And there should be very, very little leeway into it. So now that we have everything wired, right, before we put everything in, we have to test, does it work? We're going to go ahead and turn on the front sprayer, and we're going to get a camera view, a close-up shot if it works. So it's going to actually face the camera, obviously. But there's a slight delay, maybe a second, but it makes sense because it has to travel all the way from the front all the way to the back, but it works. One thing is when you first test it, you're going to try a couple sprays because that stopper needs to be activated. So it takes a little bit, like maybe 1 or 2 sprays, right? 2 sprays and then it'll start doing it. I have it tight, but I could actually move it. So that's going to be awesome when I get to that point. But we're going to go ahead and put the light bar first, and we're going to go backwards, right? So we started in the front and then all the way work here. So in this case, we're going to do the trunk over here, the tailgate, and then we're going to do the rear. And then after that, we're going to do all the bottom, which all the screws are down there, the fender, and then we're going to put the front in place. But again, before you do that, I want you to just look at, like if you have another person, hold this so that you don't get sprayed, but you're going to look at if there's any issues, okay, as far as leakage. We're going to go ahead and start putting this together. So we need to first plug in this right here, and then lock that in, and then this goes right here. All right, once that's linked up, I would remove the latch. All right, so once this is on, I'm going to go ahead and line this up. One thing about this is there is a clip. I can see the clip right here. So there's this horizontal box right here, and this is kind of what I use to first align it. And once it's aligned, I can see the clip right here, okay? And one tip over here, guys, is to just tighten the sides first. That way you can hold everything in place. Let me just show you this clip again here. It's this right here. You see this? And then once it's in, it goes in like all the way. And once it's really in, it'll kind of clip against it. And there's also a little clip right here. Do you see this little cross hatch right there? That also needs to go all the way in, and that kind of ensures that it's fully in. And you know, before you do this, just make sure that everything is connected properly. So obviously you saw I connected the lights. Before you really go full-fledged, I'm just gonna go ahead and check the camera. And just for fun of it, watch the sprayer again and see if it sprays the actual camera this time. Yep. So you can see that the lights worked. It sprayed it though, right? Sometimes it does take a little bit of time, but I know for a fact that I put it right. I think I need to do a couple resets. The cameras are gonna come up, so just keep that in mind. But I'm gonna go ahead and continue. I feel pretty confident about the camera being placed in there. So I like just hand tightening it for now. That's 2. You should be able to hand tighten most of it. Okay, now this is where we tighten it. Whenever you do this, you really don't want to over tighten. This is a light bar. This is a headlight. So you're not trying to like muscle nearly anything. You're just trying to put it in place. One other reason why I like to make sure that I did the spray earlier, as you saw, is because what happens sometimes is when you put this back in, it might get pinched. So what I'm doing is I'm just ensuring that nothing is pinched. Boom. And then let's go ahead and put this in place, which is going to be the side latches. That's really important as well. So we're going to go ahead and go back to our 8mm and we're just reversing what we did previously, okay? All right, so last 4, which is going to be these, and I'm just going to be using my grid tool again, and these are just going to go right here at top. T30, guys. There's going to be a lot of T30s in Teslas. Let's just go ahead and put this back in since we already have it right here. This one is nothing special. This is just going to be a clip. So it just goes right here. So you can just hold it, line it up. Don't push it all the way until you know it's fully good. And then you can just push it in. If you don't line it up and you do this, clips can break. Now that we have it, let's go ahead and see it. All right, ready? There you go. Looks pretty OEM for the most part. One thing that I would recommend is it sprays a lot of stuff. So if you have it wrapped, I would highly recommend ceramic coating it so it just kind of beads off. Right now, I just have, but we have this car wrapped and changed all the time because this is our shop car. So we're gonna go ahead and reverse it back. We're gonna go back to this trims. All right, so we got all these clips. So let's go ahead and line this up. I know it's dirty. Let's not talk about that. We're just gonna keep going to the front, okay? Notice how when I did this, I went all the way inside. That just ensures that it's inside the screw, so when the screw goes up, it secures that all in place. Couple areas I did zip tie it, just because I wanna hold it. But I'm gonna go to the bottom. Before we move on, we want to make sure that all these clips are in, and before we put that trim in place, okay? And then one more right here. All right, so now that we're all the way back here, let's go ahead and connect the camera. If it's easier for you, you can just do it backwards like this. It clips just like that. Same thing over here, guys. You see how it's about a 1/4 inch, maybe even 1/2 inch? I know that's good. And then I could push it in. This one, same thing. So let's go ahead and put this back. And before you actually put it down, you're gonna go ahead and connect it. And connecting it is pretty straightforward. It just goes straight in. This one's not as not necessarily a convincing like clip for that one. So I got all my screws here. So there's gonna be one each here. So after you install it, one of the things that's going to happen is you're going to get a few errors. And one of the errors is that the fender camera on obviously the passenger side and then the rear view camera is not going to work right away. And that's sometimes. You may work, it may not. But as you can see, mine is currently working and it's nice and clean. But in order to get it reset, I'll show you a way you can do it. So you first go to software. You're going to hold foundation right here. Once you hold it, you put service. And there is a disclaimer right here, improper use of service, so be careful when you're here. But it's really cool. This is what they do. This is what we do when we get cars and work on them. But once you go here, you can go to driver assist. And once you go to driver assist, there's cameras. And you actually get some data about all the cameras that are out here. So you can get like pitch, fisheye pitch, all these things. So when you're ready, all you have to do is reset DAS. And DAS stands for Driver Assistant System, I think. And when you do that, it will ask you to, everything will be interrupted. You press run. It will ask you to hold the right turn signal and the brake pedal for about 8 seconds. And then once it does, you press run. Reset literally takes 2-3 seconds. And once it resets, what it does is it just hard resets all the cameras, and your camera should come back up. Okay, so that's one really good tip. And then once you're done, your camera should be working. And you just want to ensure that it works again, so you can go ahead and go to camera. You can go ahead and test it, and you can see, I don't know if you saw that right here, the water came up super clean. I'm pretty much wetting up the whole floor at that point. But that's how you get it all reset. And then once you're done, you can actually go to service right here, and then click on this, and you hold this button, and then you exit out into the normal mode. So there you have it, guys. We have the rear sprayer installed for the rear camera, and it works really, really well. One thing I want to mention is that there's only a few areas that the hose can be pinched. And it really is the rocker area. So all around that area, the screws just go up. And if you tighten it a little bit too much, or if your hose is in the wrong area, it could pinch it too much where the sprayer won't work. So if it doesn't work, that's where I would look for. That's where it's going to be messed up. All the areas, I don't think there's as much of a risk, especially because for here, you're just going through that same hole that the harness is. In the front and the rear fender and all that, that really doesn't have any areas where it could kind of pinch. So just keep that in mind. So let us know in the comments below. Do you think this is do-yourselfable? It is a little bit hard, I think, but I think some extreme people might be comfortable doing this. So I think the hardest part was actually drilling through this freaking hard steel. So let us know in the comments below if you have any questions. Thank you guys for watching, and click on the subscribe button. We'll see you later.